everyone feels it, even like repeat entrepreneurs when they launch something that people don't instantly want or understand. Everyone feels like a failure at this time, but I seen people in the same situation and they bounce back. So that's also motivated me to like keep pushing.
Hi everyone, you're listening to Scaling DevTools, the show that investigates how DevTools go from 0 to 1. I am joined today by Anh-Tho, who is co-founder and CEO of Lago. And Lago is an open source usage-based billing tool that is really popular. I think Anh-Tho is probably going to share some really cool update about how popular it is. But thanks so much, Anh-Tho, for joining. Really excited to speak with you.
Thanks, Jack, for having me. I'm so excited. I was just telling you, like, we launched on Hacker News 2 weeks ago, and I didn't realize it. But when I was writing like a new content for Lago, I looked at the past launch during the past 12 months, and it's like the most popular launch like of the past year. So we were like quite excited, a little bit proud, I would say, because like, you know, we pivoted 8 months ago. So everything you see about Lago right now has 8 months. So we work really, really hard on this pivot. Yeah.
That is awesome. That's amazing. So I guess like, could you tell us a bit about Lago and like also following on like how you kind of did so well?
Yeah, sure. So we're a team of early employees of a fintech unicorn called like Anh-Tho. For those who don't know about it, it's like a massive like SMB banking solution, like $5 billion valuation. I was the first employee and VP growth. I own revenue there. And like most of the team like are early employees as well. So Lago started in summer 21. We wanted to do 0 to 1 together. So it really, really extended out from the team. And we like the same like areas like B2B SaaS, fintech, data. For some reasons, we wanted to apply to Y Combinator and we didn't have a product. We got in. I had another idea of a product. So it was like no code reverse ETL. Long story short, like we shipped during YC, we started monetizing what we learned. So we learned a lot of things, but I would say like mainly like 3 things. So the first thing is it wasn't going to be a big market because we took the no-code approach. Like the wedge was to serve like marketers with data. What we learned, and everything seems always obvious in hindsight, but what we learned is when a company grows, it's only the data engineering team or the engineering team that like really do like data transformation, like in a like reliable way. So the no code angle isn't really a wedge anymore. So we needed to find another one. So that broke our like, I was really like into no code at this time. So we felt like what we shipped is great, like people are paying, but we're not sure it's going to be a huge company. And as we were working like so hard, we felt like if we work so hard, we want a shot at being like big. So we felt like maybe it's not the right angle. And also the second thing we learned was that, you know, we were synchronizing data from point A to point B, but we were not like producing any like important data that doesn't exist in another system. We were just like something like to transmit an existing data. So we felt like to be a massive company, what's important in the value chain might be like to produce a data that like other systems don't have and want to connect to. And that's also what made like billing exciting to us in the sense that when everyone wants to be the hub, a source of truth of everything, but when you produce like this important data and other like tools or systems rely on it, then you're like de facto the source of truth and the hub. So that's one thing we find like super exciting about billing. And the third thing is that I forgot to mention is that when we started monetizing, we had a hybrid pricing, so subscription and monthly active rows. And I really struggled with Stripe billing to build that. And I know like our current team at Lago, they built like the homegrown billing system of the previous fintech called like Anh-Tho from day 1 to Series D. And now they're like more than a dozen like engineers like maintaining this system. So quite naturally, I asked our engineers, hey, can you help me with like automating billing because like it's a pain right now? And they told me, yeah, Stripe billing doesn't handle that. So we might like rebuild it, or at least like we build the data pipelines to send the final result to Stripe. And we don't have time because like we're shipping products. So there's no real solution. And so we bumped into like this billing issue again. I think at the time we didn't like have, so the conviction around like open source as the only solution to solve the billing challenges like built over time. When we were at this previous company, we were always wondering, why is billing such a pain point? Like so many companies like building their homegrown billing system. No engineer likes to write this code. And it's really hard to retain engineers, to have engineers who have experience on billing and to retain them. So we really wondered, like, is it like, why isn't it solved already? And like our conclusion was that there's no solution because each billing is specific. So you either like build it yourself like we did, or you like keep the things manual and you try to keep like the cost down. So you probably like export or like outsource this to some countries where like where it's cheaper to do things manually. So that was the conclusion. But as we were operating like this first company around data, and we were at YC, I think we've been like exposed to a lot of open source companies. And like slowly but really strongly, we built the conviction around like, wow, maybe it's open source that's going to solve it, because the situation doesn't make sense right now. And maybe you're wondering why open source changes it. When was the aha moment? I'm not sure when was the aha moment. I think it was like progressive, but we thought like maybe open source like brings three things. The first thing is like it builds trust faster with engineers. I think one of the things with billing is you have to build in a cave during 3 years and then you release a product that is complete and people can trust you. I think we thought we didn't want to do this because like it's very risky. Like the thing is like you need to find product market fit. You really find out about like how your product is used when you have a product. So we wanted to ship as soon as possible. So as soon as we had something to show on GitHub, we just opened the repo. So we took like 2 months to build the first iteration of Lago and ship the alpha version. And we opened it in June last year. The good thing with open source is like everything can build in public, but when you build in public in open source, like people can look at your code and start like commenting it, iterating it, and build like trust around it. So in terms of time to adoption and time to trust, like it's much shorter. And also the second thing we like so much about open source is like extensibility. So one thing is people are rebuilding entire billing systems right now because they have specific needs, but there are a lot of needs that are common to a lot of companies. So do you really need to rebuild like probation? Do you really need to handle dates, different time zones, coupons, credit notes? Like all these things are common to a lot of companies. So what we're building with Lago is like primitives that engineers can use and build on top of them. So, and because like it's open source, they can look under the hood and like more easily build on top of them. So they don't have to build like the common core like billing system that everybody like needs. They just build the specificities. So that's also what open source brings to us. And the third thing is scalability. So like as we can be used on-prem, so we have a cloud version that can be used like as any cloud version, like closed or open source. And we also have an on-prem version. And so that like people who want to keep like control and like scale their infrastructure can do it like as they want. They have a full control over it. So we feel like what open source brings to this specific issue is exactly what we hadn't thought of it before, and we wish we had, but like slowly, I don't know like how, but at Y Combinator, because we looked at a lot of business model, a lot of companies, like with the conviction was really strong within the team, and that's how we like decided to pivot.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing to hear the journey about it and like how you kind of got there. It's always the best exciting businesses that come out of like the pain point that you felt, and even the pivot was like you were experiencing it again.
Yeah, we knew about the pain, but we didn't find an approach that like really solved the pain. So we're really opinionated on the fact that no closed source SaaS is going to solve like billing. Like the fact that during all these years people continue to build like billing systems and don't like it is like shows that. So yeah, we really need like a really different approach to solve this problem.
Yeah, and do you think that is kind of, was it the resonance that allowed, your launch to be so popular? Do you think that was the main reason?
I think, to be honest, I don't know, but
It's hard.
you don't know. So I think
it works.
when
I don't
you,
know why.
yeah, that's a good thing. I think when it fails, like it's easier to analyze why it failed, but when it works, sometimes you don't really know why. But I think one fun fact maybe would be that in like around March, April, when we were like looking at billing, but without like the like big conviction that we were like going to do it, we were still like in the like pivot like trenches. My co-founder wrote an article about like the title was "Billing Systems Are Still a Nightmare for Engineers," and he just listed like maybe like 7 or 9 pain points, and he posted it on Hacker News. It was his first post on Hacker News. He barely knew like what Hacker News was. He posted it there, and then he went to have a beer, and and we thought like, it's going to be the post that has 1 point, and like nobody sees, and then like it was like number 1 during 48 hours, and we had like maybe like 300 or 400 comments. So I had like to bring him like in again and ask him, hey, have me like reply to the comments, and the response was so like strong that we felt like it's really an unsolved problem. So we really need like to like investigate it more. So maybe that was like the first post that raised awareness about Lago. We also kept the same name during the pivot, so that has like pros and cons, but at least we had the continuity of the name. So I think we started like building awareness at a bit like ahead. Also, we wrote a lot of content, so we wrote like maybe 60 posts, like more. So maybe like 4 or 5 like did well. So we went in a series of posts. So there was this first post super popular, and then like there was like the valley of death like of posts. So we kept writing, nobody cared, and we felt like, okay, maybe we got lucky once, maybe it's not that big of a deal, or things like that. But I think we persisted, and like when we had like this like bunch of successful posts, we felt like, yeah, you just need to have a routine and like keep trying and keep pushing. And at some point, it's normal that out of 60 posts, like if 5 are really, really successful, maybe that's the ratio you should expect. And you shouldn't expect like that every post is super successful. So that helped us as well, like maybe be more like calm or like post when we see a post that doesn't like succeed. We try to learn from it. It still hurts a bit, to be honest, but but yeah, maybe one message would be like, not all the posts are going to be super successful. That's okay. You need to keep pushing until you find one and try to replicate that. So yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I love that message. And I like what you mentioned off air about like what makes a good post. I think you had like a kind of a theory on it.
Yeah, so we try like auto promotion. Like, I mean, it's obvious, but it doesn't work that well, especially on Hacker News. Like, you are going to be flagged straight away. Like, the crowd there is like amazing, smart, a bit fierce about like auto promotion. So I would try to avoid that. So we tried anyway. It didn't work. What works super well is like, I think everyone knows about billing, knows that billing is a pain point, but there's a lack of like content that really explains like why, or that really goes deep into the concepts. So we now our angle is to write about like billing problems, how we solve them, and also we spend a lot of time like explaining why it's a problem, like with a lot of details. And there was a gap in the market for that, and I think these are like the most successful posts. So I think that can be applied to a lot of like areas. But yeah, I would just reconfirm that auto promotion doesn't work on Hacker News.
Yeah, just explaining, like you were talking about, explaining really hard things, doing hard things, explaining them in a lot of detail, especially when it's missing, like you said, in billing.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. And one of the things that you've kind of also mentioned is this challenge where like a lot of the competitor for you is like people doing it themselves, in a way. And I'd love to hear like how you've been approaching that.
Yeah, so one of the great things is we were this team that built everything ourselves, and so we're like the persona. I think when we opened the repo, we had like adoption from and demand from later stage companies like Series C, Series D, who built themselves and had a lot of pain points. So for some of them, we didn't have the whole feature set yet, but what we thought is like there's a gap in the market for that. Like these people are not going to go for closed source, and they're like fed up with like building everything themselves. They don't want to hire additional engineers to handle that. So it confirmed our hypothesis. And also we were like fortunate enough to have a fit with one company called Lydia that's Venmo for Europe. They have 5 million users, so you see. And they were like looking for a solution like Lago. And like 2 months after we opened the repo, they inspected our code. They started doing pull requests, and they chose Lago. So that was really like a good sign, a good signal for us. And we felt like if like we're just starting, and if like it resonates that much, then of course we need to like ship more things, because like billing is complex, and then we've been like working days and nights at shipping product to like reach feature parity. But that confirmed the demand and the approach like very early on. And also we launched the first product, and we didn't have the same like demand when we launched it, like the product we launched at YC. So we also saw the difference. There was like that was a whole new like stage of demand. So yeah, like we would try like several things, and that was a good non-official launch. We're still in beta today, so yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And how have you like kind of, when you get someone interested in the open source project, like how do you think about the kind of transition from like someone that uses it in an open source sense, and then someone that kind of brings it, becomes a customer, and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, so we opened the repo 8 months ago, and we started testing monetization 3 months ago. We already have like users in production and paying users. I think right now so sometimes we have like people like signing up and just like testing everything themselves, and they want to use the free product, and that's totally fine, and we're like really happy with that. And what we started selling, and it's early days, but we really wanted to prove that people would pay, is like a premium. So we have premium plans. It's basically open core. So we have premium plans with like premium features, premium support, and hosting. You can decide to have like the premium features and premium support without hosting, so on-prem. So we sell like these premium plans. I think the conversation is very natural. They reach out. We only handle inbound at the moment, so they reach out on Slack, on Twitter, like any like channel is good, and we have a conversation. And we always try to help, even if it's even if they are using the free product, and sometimes. And we're grateful for the contributions as well. And sometimes they go from the free to the paying, like really organically as well. So yeah, I would say like for now, like it's inbound demand and very organic motion. I'm wondering if it applies to other dev tools, but I think like billing, it's an existing need. So we are not like building another like need. Like they know like they need to build people, and also they're used to paying. So it's not like we're not creating a new use case, and like they're wondering if they should pay for that. So maybe that makes that all very much more organic than for other like dev tools that might be on this podcast.
Yeah, true. And I guess it's like the closer you are to like the revenue, it's kind of easier in a way to like, it's a percent on money you earn, I guess, I would imagine. Awesome.
Yeah, actually, that's one of the things we hated when we looked at billing solutions. So we hated the fact that billing solutions took a cut on revenue, because we think it makes sense for payments because like your risk, you work more if like you make like more money like move from a place to another. There's more risk. But for billing, it's actually a challenge. It's a data solution. It's a SaaS. It's software. So we like, as any company, we're like thinking of pricing every day and trying to find like what the fair point is. But one thing we really don't want to do is like take a cut on revenue, because like that's when we were like users of billing solution or try to be users of external billing solutions, we felt like that makes no sense and I hate it. It's like rent seeker pricing. And we wrote like one of our successful posts on Hacker News was about like Stripe that has like, they have 21 products, and I'm surprised because like a lot of founders and like brilliant people don't know about it. So they have like 21 products. If you use Stripe, like to get paid, you probably use 3 or 4 products. So you would use like Stripe billing, Stripe payments, Stripe invoicing, Stripe data. And each has a different like pricing, and usually it's a cut on revenue, and the cuts on revenue add up, and a lot of like people don't know about it. And there's also a whole lock-in into this ecosystem. So for instance, if you use Stripe billing, you can usually only use one payment processor, and unsurprisingly, it's Stripe payments. So let's say you expand to India. Okay, that's Stripe in India, but it's not the strongest payment processor. You want to use, I don't know, Razorpay, for instance, the strongest like payment processor there. You can't do it if you use Stripe billing. So there's also this like lock-in that we resented and that we wanted like to address, and that we're addressing with Lago. So it's like open source, but also the philosophy is to be open to all the different like tools of the revenue stack.
Yeah. Well, it's like you're kind of like, it's like someone asked ChatGPT to come up with like the perfect Hacker News company where you're like, you're open source, you're doing like really fair stuff, like it's payments, solving a really hard problem. So yeah, that's awesome.
I haven't tried ChatGPT to write tests yet. I should maybe, but I don't know.
It's
Maybe
amazing. Yeah.
People are already doing that, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I guess like Stripe was so popular on like Hacker News on all their stuff, and then you're like, even you're doing all the things like a lot more like in a way that developers appreciate.
So. Yeah, actually, I think there's an inflection point on Stripe. If you look at like the posts on Stripe on Hacker News, there are a lot of like mixed feelings about them as well. So yeah. So yeah, it's like with, mixed feeling at the moment. Yeah.
Percent increases and stuff like that.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That's really, really interesting. And I guess like one kind of like more open question is, you know, you've had a lot of experience this. I know you do also like a lot of like angel investing and stuff like that. What is there any stuff that you think that is like a really big focus for you as a company that you think is really important and that the best, you know, founders and dev tools are doing?
Oh, that's a broad question. I think one thing I learned by angel investing is everyone has so some people have all the stars aligned since the beginning. That's how you get like explosive growth from like day 2. That happens to some people, and that's great. And that means that they were smart, but that hardworking. That also means they were at the right time at the right moment. So they created luck at the right time at the right moment. But if you're not in this like 0.00001% of people, that doesn't mean you can't succeed. And maybe the story of like, so my first angel investment was like Hugging Face at the like seed. And it was like a B2C company, like an AI firm. Nobody understood that. I was like, so my thesis was the technology is amazing. And the second like thing I thought about was, so maybe with all this data, they can do something cool afterwards, because like, I don't know, like they can like make it, anonymize it, and like then like, I don't know, repackage it in a way that is like both like respectful of privacy, and I don't know what I was thinking, but the second like part of my thesis was wrong. The first part about the technology was good. But they took like a few years to get to pivot to B2B. And I remember during the first years, like nobody quite understood what they did. Like AI wasn't cool. They said like a very, very tiny and hardworking team, like of 5 people. I think they had a lot of fun working on that, but like very few people understood that. And it was very inspiring to me to see how big it became now, how like people like really like it now. It's very popular. Like they're like geniuses. I think they have always been geniuses, but at the time, like they were like, yeah, people didn't get it. So it's really inspiring to me to see like these success stories as well. That's what I was fortunate to like witness as well. So when we like launched the first product, it wasn't like massive growth, and we felt like I was thinking it's okay. I've seen that, and some people have come successful after that, and sometimes they have not. But like, I mean, it's part of a journey, so it helps you as well, like have perspective on that. It still hurts, like for sure. Like you feel like a failure. Like everyone feels it, even like repeat entrepreneurs when they launch something that people don't instantly want or understand. Everyone feels like a failure at this time, but I feel like I've seen it, like I've seen people in the same situation and they bounce back. So that's also motivated me to like keep pushing. So yeah, I think like that's one of the main things, like about like pivoting and finding product market fit.
Yeah. That's really, really inspiring to hear. And like, yeah, from Hugging Face as well. It's like a really amazing first investment.
It was a Tamagotchi, like imagine that, like and the NLP like technology wasn't as good as today. So yeah, like it was like years ago. So yeah, like it wasn't obvious. So. And now like everything, like they look like obvious and stuff, but they like persisted so much. I have so much respect for what they did that I think when you see like company at an early stage, that's exactly what I'm thinking about. Maybe like, are they going to persist until they find something?
Yeah. That's a really important point. Yeah. Anh-Tho, I think that's all we've got time for, unfortunately, because it's amazing. If you had one takeaway from the conversation, what would you think would be?
Yeah, maybe about content, because that's the main way people find us today, find Lago. So maybe the learnings were that, as I said, like we posted like maybe like 60 posts and maybe 5 were successful. So I would say like just like have the right expectation of success for content is also a good way to not get like discouraged and just give up, because like it can be like a bit like depressing when you see that, but having the right expectation makes it like easier like to push through. And I said that maybe the second thing is like we produce a lot of content, but at the beginning we were like pretty bad at distributing it like the right way on the right channels and like at the right time, and we also iterated on it. So I think also a lot of people produce content but like don't think too much about distribution, or like maybe give up too early on a content that took like a lot of efforts to produce. So I'd say like maybe that's the second thing like we learned and we want to focus on as well.
Yeah. Amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah. So if people want to learn more about Lago or about yourself, where could they learn more?
On Twitter, we also, on the website, we are like everywhere. Like you can join our Slack. Like, yeah, we will respond on any channel.
Okay. Amazing.
Thanks
Well,
for having
I've got
me.
to say, like, I'm really, really excited. I feel like it's such a huge opportunity in the space you're in, and I really love the approach. So really excited, and thanks so much for joining.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
And thanks everyone for listening. Bye-bye.